Okay, so this was last week's home practice that we've just had a little bit of a run through. Do let me know how you have got on before I introduce another element. Okay, so within this series we are cultivating contentment. So a deep dive into the science of satisfaction and building new neural pathways and uncovering some simple home practices to savour the richness of our existing lives. So we're working on our baseline level of contentment, essentially. And rather than constantly seeking or avoiding sensations, we're finding new sources of happiness and avoiding unhappiness. We bring our attention to appreciating the simple joys of everyday life. We're establishing some baselines. We're turning up the volume on the ordinary and observing that we're quite extraordinary. Falling awake to our experiences instead of constantly needing to escape from ourselves. So appreciating what we have rather than seeking new things or wanting to change ourselves. Being with ourselves as we are. So we've been exploring 4 psychological factors that are associated with satisfaction and how temporary it is. So boredom, negativity bias, and we looked at hedonic adaptation last week. So this leads naturally into the 4th element of this on rumination. So this is our tendency to keep thinking about bad experiences. Now, as with all of these elements, none of them are a bad thing. They're not things that we're trying to avoid or not be. It's just building up our tolerance around these experiences and not falling into holes of overthinking around them, which we have a lot of time to do. So rumination is repetitive dwelling on negative thoughts with potential harm to mental well-being. However, it's a cognitive process of repeatedly focusing on one's negative thoughts and feelings, often dwelling on past events or perceived failures. Whilst it's typically associated with being negative, it does increase stress, anxiety, and is linked to depression. It can occasionally serve as a constructive purpose. So, in certain contexts, rumination can facilitate problem solving. So it allows us to analyse our thoughts and our emotions, and it can lead to a deeper understanding and insight of ourselves. Additionally, it can prompt self-reflection, introspection, fostering personal growth and resilience. So we're often ruminating over our mistakes, and the idea is that we don't want to make those mistakes again. So it's picking and pulling out of those moments what's useful, but pressing a pause on it so that it doesn't doesn't preoccupy you. So moments of rumination can often be late at night, for example, and then it can impact on our sleep. So what we're going to be playing with within the body scan is observing rumination and some of the ways that we can pull ourselves kind of out of the more negative side of it, picking out what's useful and pushing away from what's not, which is the cyclical going over and over and over and over again. Okay, so we can do a couple of turns and then we get off the cycle. So the key lies in moderation and constructive application. Okay, excessive rumination, that incessant dwelling on negative experiences is what's harmful. Okay, making mistakes and regretting it is a good thing. Okay, if we didn't do that, we'd be psychopaths or sociopaths or all sorts of things. Okay, so to harness the potential benefits of rumination while mitigating its adverse effects, individuals can cultivate mindfulness techniques and engage in healthy coping strategies, and that's what we're going to practice. So the work that you're doing strengthens this ability to engage with but not encourage our distressing thoughts in a non-judgmental way. So we step out of our stories just for the space of the meditation, and that gives our brains a bit of a break, and it shows it that there's different ways of observing our thoughts, that they're not facts, that they're mental events. They make us aware of our behaviours and thoughts, and that we engage with but not encourage our distressing thoughts. Okay, so the key is this non-judgmental attitude that we're cultivating, and you're doing this anyway. We're just going to be exploring this more deliberately today. Okay, so you're normal and you're extraordinary. What can you do to help yourself? Okay, so we're going to explore, and the reason I've chosen pearls is because there's some pearls of wisdom in our rumination. So we're going to pick out what's useful, and we're going to put to the side what's unhelpful, and we're going to use the body and the breath to be the anchor for that. So you're going to see a shift in the sound after I've done the bell, just to avoid unnecessary interruptions. So taking a moment to settle and arrive. We are engaging in a body scan today, so if you would prefer to be lying down. So ideally, if you're sitting, having a self-supporting spine with your hips slightly higher than your knees, your feet firmly on the floor. So elongating that spine and letting go of any visible signs of tension that you might notice. And as we move through the body scan, releasing any tension and tightness as you go, weaving those movements into the practice. Let's begin by anchoring ourselves within the breath. So following the flow of your breath. As you breathe in and you breathe out. And then expanding your awareness to include all of your body. And finding yourself an anchor for the practice. Where are you going to bring yourself when your mind's wandered and got lost in a story? Is it going to be somewhere within the breath, or perhaps a neutral part of your body? And then an invitation to return your awareness back to the breath, to breathe in and breathe out. Now, within today's practice, we're going to be doing several body scans in one. So let's get a baseline for ourselves by beginning to explore your left foot. What you notice, if anything, here. Does it feel cool, warm, tingly? How's your left foot today? Anything standing out? Anything particularly quiet? And then moving to the left lower leg between the ankle and the knee joints, so the shin, the calf. Noticing the fabric that's touching your skin or contact with the earth or the chair, anything. What can you notice here? And then from your knee to your hip joint, your thigh. Non-judgmental, kindly awareness to your body, just simply noticing and checking in. And then moving across the hip and to the right leg and down to the right foot. What, if anything, is here? Temperatures, colours, shapes, movements, pressure. And then that ankle joint to knee joint, the shin, the calf. We're widening and narrowing the lens of our attention here. Being interested, impartial witnesses to ourselves. And these bodies that house all these stories. So moving away from the lower leg to the upper leg, from the knee joint to the hip joint. All that space, the skin, the bone, the ligaments and muscles, nerves, blood vessels. And then moving away from the leg and bringing your attention to the lower part of your trunk area, so the pelvis and the buttocks, just below the belly button. So the belly button and below, kind of cross section. So you've got the bladder, colon, reproductive organs, softness, hardness of bone, muscles. Just observing what, if anything, you can notice here. And then moving your awareness to the remainder of the trunk area, so the belly button and above. So you've got the chest, got the lower back, middle back, shoulders, collarbones, the lungs, the heart, the stomach, the pancreas, gallbladders, kidneys, liver, skin, bone. What can you notice here? The beat of your heart. And then moving your awareness away from the trunk to your arms. So maybe starting with the hands. Can you notice here? Do they feel warm or cool? All those nerves, what are they touching? Can you notice the air or the contact with your body that you're making with them? Maybe the contact that they're making with each other. Sort of the hands, when they're relaxed, kind of curve. Maybe throb, warm, cool, dry, moist. And then moving your awareness away from the hands to the lower arms between the wrist and the elbow. Now moving away from the lower arms to the upper arms, between the elbow joint and the shoulder joint, the warmth of your armpits. The muscle, the bone, the skin. And then moving your awareness away from the arms and then bringing your focus to your neck. And moving your focus to your scalp. What are the edges and boundaries of your scalp? And then moving your awareness away from the scalp and bringing the focus of your attention to your face. The forehead, the eye sockets, the nose, the cheek, the lips, the jaw. Where does your tongue rest in your mouth? And then moving from the face to your ears. Your experience of sounds. And then moving from the ears into the brain. What, if anything, can you notice of this grey matter? This bit of the body that we're working out right now. And an invitation to step into the prefrontal cortex, so that section at the front of the brain, and bring into your mind's eye something that you've been ruminating over recently. It could be a mistake that you've made, embarrassed yourself, you've forgotten to do something, you've let somebody down, of something recent. Could be something you're annoyed about that somebody else has done. We're really resting in that prefrontal cortex just for a few moments, noticing this story. And then an invitation to expand your awareness to include all of your body. So with this story kind of held in your mind's eye, an invitation to scan around your body and notice its experience. You might start with your left foot, to your lower leg and your upper leg, then move across the right leg, the right foot, lower leg, right thigh, the trunk area, the belly and chest, the back, your arms, your scalp, your face. So this information of this story is a chemical process to the body, physiological experience. What exactly is that? What information's here? It's we learn to listen and pay attention to our bodies, learn its language. And then narrowing into the breath to breathe in and breathe out. The sensations of your breath, the textures of the air, the smells. Can you notice the air on your top lip? And then an invitation to step back into that story. Being an impartial witness to yourself. An invitation to answer these questions. What's useful to know? What's helpful? We can leave the rest for now. So an invitation to bring your awareness to your breath, breathing in and breathing out. And to step back into the story of your body. So expanding your awareness of the breath to include all of your body. Checking in with your posture, letting go of any tension or tightening that may have crept in. Elongating your spine. Readjusting, weaving any movements into the practice. And now an invitation to step into your prefrontal cortex again. And bring to mind something that you've ruminated over in the past. Not too distant, but maybe the last 3 or 4 years. We've all been through a lot. You can probably think of something. A way somebody behaved, something that you may have said, something that you wish you'd said. Giving yourself some space to be with this story. And then expanding your awareness from the prefrontal cortex and into the space of your body and exploring using the body scan techniques. Checking in with each nook and cranny in whatever way works for you. I'm going to leave you in quiet for a few minutes to scan around your body, check in with yourself with this non-judgmental and kindly awareness. What's your body's experience of this story? And now an invitation to step back into the prefrontal cortex, holding space for the story again. I'm just taking a few moments to consider what's helpful to hold on to, what was necessary. And let's leave the rest to one side. Returning your awareness to your breath, breathing in and breathing out, the textures and sensations. And then expanding your awareness to include all of your body. Having a sense of breathing into the space of the body, directing the breath. That's having a sense of cleansing, clearing, giving space. And an invitation to take an internal weather report. How are you? And that feeling, that emotion, what exactly is it? Where is it in the body? It's chemical information, it's physiological information. Is there anything that you need to do today to take care of yourself that you've perhaps been ignoring? Do you need to move, stretch? Eat something, drink something, feel the sun on your face. And then an invitation to narrow your awareness to your breath, to breathe in and breathe out. And then expanding your awareness from the breath to include all of your body. Read a poem by Mary Oliver from a book called Why I Wake Up Early. Or I hear something that more or less kills me with delight, that makes me like a needle in the haystack of light. It is what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over in joy and acclamation. Nor am I talking about the exceptional, the fearful, the dreadful, the very extravagant, but of the ordinary, the common, the very drab, the daily presentations. Oh, good scholar, I say to myself, how can you help but grow wise with such teachings as these? The untrimmable light of the world, the ocean's shine, the prayers that are made out of grass. So moving and stretching in whatever way you inevitably ignored. to take tea. So again, I am preparing a very ordinary and drab tea that I've been avoiding. Jasmine tea that's been sat on the shelf for a good few years. In a teapot I've taken for granted, with a teaspoon I once treasured and I'm learning to re-treasure. So I'm going to press pause now. For those of you practicing in your own time, an invitation to journal, reflect on your experience. You're welcome to pop it into an email. We can catch up in the week ahead. So hopefully there were some pearls of wisdom there. And the invitation for your home practice is to do the regular 3-part breathing spaces. And if you do have moments of rumination, to note what's useful and what's necessary for me to take from this, and what's unhelpful right now. So you can park that to the side. So you could the invitation would be to write down what's helpful and leave what's unhelpful, so that the lens of your attention is focused on the learning process in relation to that, to the rumination. If anything has come up from you within that practice, please do reach out. Mindful techniques are one of the ways of supporting ourselves around rumination, but they're not the only, and it can be helpful to seek support if there are certain patterns of behaviour that keep coming up for you and are making things difficult. But those mindful techniques are one way of supporting yourselves, taking care of your body. So let's practice that 3-part breathing space. And I'll correct those slides before I put them up. So noting any insights if using in conjunction with a specific moment of rumination. But the invitation is to really practice that breathing space so that it becomes something that you can easily return to in times of stress and challenge, such as ruminating. So taking a moment to notice the points of contact that you're making with the earth. And then narrowing your awareness to your breath, breathing in and breathing out. And then expanding your awareness from the breath to include all of your body. And setting an intention that whatever you have to do next, you bring mindful and present moment awareness to. And as best you can, taking the sense of awareness and connection into whatever you have left to do with your day. Please do reach out if anything comes up that you'd like to explore in more detail. Thank you for joining me.